Hey there everyone, hope you're having a good day. Hope you're taking care of yourselves and your gear and trying to prevent the spread of this COVID-19. I have another video in the series, my playlist of COVID-19, and today I wanted to talk about we're recommended by the media, the government, even the government and the Centers for Disease Control to practice social distancing and social isolation, meaning really staying out of the public and keeping yourself self-quarantined to extent. And since we'll be at home kind of having a little bit more time on our hands, hopefully we can spend more time on our music, our guitar, and our gear. So I have some tips on that. And here's one of the great modern guitar players, Paul Gilbert. It seems like he's practiced a lot, and he got to be where he's at by putting in that time and practicing. Plus also, he's just a great musician, loves music. And one thing you can do is, if you haven't really practiced or practiced enough, this is a good time to put in some of those efforts into improving yourself, not only technique-wise but musically. A couple things I recommend is learning new songs. Maybe you have a list of songs you've wanted to learn, and now's a good time to at least try to take a bite into those new songs and maybe increase your repertoire or your songbook. You can always practice new scales, maybe get out of the rut of playing your old patterns and playing some new patterns, and trying to incorporate that into songs and chord progressions. I'm one of those people that are in the camp of don't practice scales just for the sake of playing fast scales. I kind of looked at scales now to think of them as kind of some patterns that you can use within a song to create licks and riffs and solos, but not to spend too much time just going up and down scales and spending most of your time playing the scales. I would say just limit the practice time. I know it's kind of easy to play a scale because of a set pattern, but I would say practice your scales, but don't go overboard. And since we are practicing social isolation, maybe you could practice a little bit every day and brush up on your learning new songs and practicing some new scales or scales presently, and increasing speed and articulation and clarity of notes and expression of the notes. You can also brush up on some old songs that you've learned in the past that you haven't played in a while. Maybe you have a book of songs or a list of songs, and maybe there's a good time to revisit those songs and take a fresh look at them. Also, what you can do is you could work on your guitar. When's the last time you changed your strings to some fresh set of strings? And also, when's the last time you intonated your guitar? Maybe this is a good time to get that guitar intonated properly. I'm one of those guys that are pretty particular about intonation and tuning, so maybe you might want to spend some time on that. And also check the action and relief on the neck. You can work on that. And you might have one guitar or 200 guitars, but maybe this is a good time to just check up on your collection of guitars and see if you could get them to good working order. Also, I mentioned another video about helping to stop the spread of coronavirus, this is a good chance to kind of clean up your guitar of dust gathering everywhere. Plus also use a good fretboard cleaner to get all that grimy stuff out. And kind of wipe down your guitar with some of your trusted cleaners and make it nice and shiny. Or if you like the flat finish, just kind of clean it up a bit and get some of that nice satin look to it. Also, it's a good time to maybe, if you had some thoughts about modifying your guitar a bit, like putting in new pickups, working on the nut of the guitar, or getting some locking tuners, and maybe just checking the action if you got a vibrato bar. Might want to take a look at some of the mods that you want to do on it, or some of the maintenance on the guitar. And before I let you guys go, not guys, but girls and guys, can't stress enough going to the CDC website, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. They're at the forefront of information about the latest and greatest on this COVID-19, how to stop the spread, what advances they're making on coming out with a vaccine, and possible treatments, and all the latest information. Looks like our government and our health agencies are working hard to help control this thing. Hopefully soon kind of wipe it out. You know, it's kind of affecting everybody these days. And just a little quick look of my top 10 list of, I had another video, you can go to that video, and I dedicated the whole video to this, but I'll just quickly go over my 10 tips. As a guitarist and musicians, deep clean, sanitize your gear. I'm not too keen on the term deep clean, but that's the buzzword now. But basically sanitize your gear, your guitar especially. Try to avoid using someone else's gear, like you might want to try your friend's guitar, or they might want to try your guitar, but as you know, your hands are always touching the strings and parts of the guitar, and you just never know where another person's hand has been or where the guitar has been. So I would try to avoid using someone else's gear, and if you do, please sanitize it before you use it. Of course, if it's someone else's gear, ask the person or tell the person that you want to sanitize the gear before playing it, and let them know what kind of sanitizer you're using, and sanitize it in front of them so that you don't ruin their gear. Also, take precautions when you go to the store now, when you try keyboards and anything you have to touch. And for the woodwind horn players, of course, you know that you have to be really especially careful, since it's a respiratory type of disease going around. And guitarists, you never know who played the guitar before, so be careful when you play guitar at stores or pawn shops. Have sanitizer and wipes with you in your pocket or purse. And kind of what's based on my whole video today is stay home if you have the symptoms or feel sick, and practice this social distancing. And that's probably, if we can all practice that, maybe that'll help stop the spread of the coronavirus. I think now the latest and greatest news is you might want to kind of practice this social separation for at least 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks or more. But keep up with the latest news from the CDC and watch the news. Don't go to any YouTube video and take the YouTube video's word for it. Do your homework on it and go to reputable, reliable sites and news sources like the CDC. And in fact, this is their URL, www.cdc.gov. It's a government site. It's very good. Can't stress them enough. Also, about going to a doctor, only go to urgent care or doctor or emergency ward if you're really sick. Otherwise, if you think you have symptoms, go to the CDC site and check with their symptom list and what to do. They've recommended not to go to the doctors or medical facilities unless you think you're really sick from this. So we want to free up as much medical resources as possible and not have medical resources be fooling around with people who don't have the virus. Wash your hands with sanitizing soap. I've always been doing that anyway, so that's a regular habit, and it's a good habit to get into. And wash your hands a lot, especially for myself. Before I play my guitar, I actually wash my hands. And, if you've been eating pizza and don't wash your hands and start playing your guitar, it gets kind of gross. Or eating Cheetos before and playing your guitar. Just kind of cringe at that when people do that. So wash your hands with sanitizing soap, and not only before you play your guitar, but just in general. Also now, I think they're going to try to cut down on gatherings of 10 or more or 50 or more. And of course concerts, you're packed with people and working up a sweat, bouncing around and smashing into each other or getting close to each other at concerts. You might want to be careful about going to concerts and performances. Just take your precautions, and I think the latest CDC recommendations then try to stay 6 feet apart. It'd be kind of funny to go to a concert where everyone's standing 6 feet apart, and if there are a lot of people, there'll be people out the door. But anyway, just kind of take this seriously, actually. And learn as much as you can about this COVID-19 from reliable sources, and don't spread misinformation or don't get misinformation. Go to the reliable sources that I mentioned. And 10, probably most important of all, don't spread panic. I know this is causing a lot of anxiety and a lot of life habit changes. And it's here, so let's deal with it. But let's try to deal with it calmly and with some smarts. And try not to spread panic by being overly reactive. And, when you go to the store to buy your essentials, I know they're short of it, but don't start kind of hoarding if you don't need to. Just get what you need for maybe a week or so and see how things go. And, don't fight other people over grabbing some toilet paper or something like that at the store. Don't panic. And also with your family and friends and other musicians, just kind of play this thing cool, but smartly, because we definitely haven't. They call it a pandemic now. So anyway, going back to the good stuff, practice your guitar while you're at home, make good use of your time, and also your other gear, if you have keyboards and amps and things like that. There's a lot of, stuff with guitars like stomp boxes and things like that. Also, if you have multi-effects processors or things like Kemper or the other devices that really get into deep programming of new sounds and new simulations for your guitar, you might want to try experimenting, working on those, coming up with new patches, and with loopers, come up with new loops and new ideas. So I hope this has been interesting and helpful to you. If it has, please help my channel by donating through the PayPal links. I could use a a new microphone. I'm using my phone currently, and also I could use a camera to start filming stuff on devices and stuff. And just to build my channel, come out with better quality videos, and try not to make them so long like this one. So forgive me for that. And let's all take care of ourselves and our gear, and be well. Hope your family and friends are doing well. And take care. See you later.